Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's Netball Natter. Great to be with everybody. Today, we're going to be talking about the power of positive mindset, how we can look to the future, how we can rebuild to grow as individuals and as well as a netball family, and become healthier and happier. This is basically Build Your Happy. We've got some amazing guests for us today. And first up, I'd like to introduce Commonwealth Games gold medalist and Loughborough Lightning star. She's had some Wi-Fi issues, but she's back in the room with us. It's Beth Cobden. Good to see you, Beth. And next up, we have Vitality Rose George Fisher, who formerly played for Saracens Mavs. She's packing at the moment, I know she is, and cramming everything in her suitcases because she flies to New Zealand tomorrow to join Southern Steel in the ANZ Premiership. My goodness, what an adventure that is. We're also joined by World Cup bronze medalist and Wasp netball shooting superstar, Rachel Dunn. Good to see you, Dunny. Hi. Plus a performance lifestyle advisor to the Vitality Roses, Maimee Morris is with us. Hi, Maimee. As well as Sarah Ellis, who is co-founder of award-winning career development company Amazing If, and author of the brilliant Squiggly Careers book, and also hosts the #1 career podcast, Squiggly, a lady of many talents. Hi, Sarah, good to see you. Okay, well, we've finally, ladies and gentlemen, we finally nearly said goodbye to lockdown 3. We've got lighter nights and we've got spring on the horizon, and netball is making a comeback on the 29th of March. We cannot wait. We've spent almost a year physically apart from our netball family, and our journey back to court it's only weeks away. This last year, due to COVID, most of us will have felt lonely, disconnected, navigating a new digital world. There's uncertainty, separation from loved ones, career pressures, homeschool stresses. There is a lot to be said about the physical benefits to playing this amazing sport, but we want to focus today on the mental well-being and the sense of purpose, confidence, fun, and identity, that feeling of belonging that netball gives us, and how we can all use these feel-good factors to make steps to building happier and healthier lives on and off the netball court. Okay. We have some inspirational guests who are motivated, ready to share their stories with us. And also, please feel free, if you've got any questions for our guests, to add them in the chat function, and we'll get to as many as we can later on. I'm going to start with our athletes, Beth, Rachel, and George. And you girls, you've been training during these lockdown times. How have you managed to stay focused? And from a motivational perspective, how have you been able to stay on track in these really unusual, training conditions? We'll start with you, George. How have you been training here? Because obviously you fly off tomorrow. So what have you been doing personally? Have you been chatting a lot to the team?
Yeah, I've been doing like same as everyone else, loads of Zoom calls and stuff like that, just staying connected, Instaing, snapping, all that good social media stuff with the team. But literally just like our S&C coaches sent loads of programs over. I'm still doing like home-based training, so like what was doing at the very beginning, so like loads of HIIT sessions, loads of little mini workouts in the garden. I'm like dodging the showers, like go out, I'm like 10 minutes of a lift, and then but no, it's so yeah, a lot of training on my own and just trying to kind of keep the like goal in my head. I'm like with like motivation, as you said, so it's kind of like, right, this is where we're heading, and that's kind of what I like keep in my head every time I like get up. I'm like, put your kit on, do not put pajamas on, because if I put new pajamas on, that's it for the day, I don't want to do anything. So get up, put my kit on, I'm like, that's no excuse now, gonna go do a run or a lift. So yeah.
you got to put your active wear on, haven't you, first thing when you're out the shower, get it on, and then you're good to go, aren't you? So is that what's in your mind? Do you think about the team? Do you think about, the process of getting there and what kind of fitness you have to be in?
Yeah, literally, I'm watching like on snaps and seeing all the girls literally like dying. They're like doing all their fitness pre-season and they're like working so hard, and I've got no excuse to not be doing the exact same thing. And it's kind of like seeing them do that, it like spurs you on, doesn't it? And it's kind of like knowing like your competition and your team, like other teams, so you're about to go and play a defender as such. And I'm like, I know she's doing that, and if I'm sitting here devouring bars of chocolate and not doing my session, I'm not gonna be out there hitting it hard. So it's kind of like seeing them is really, really motivating, and kind of knowing that everyone else is doing the extras, so I should be doing the extras too.
Yeah. Well, the netball family will be back. For those who are watching, you know, big fans, will be back playing netball on the 29th of March. It's motivation, isn't it, to get fit, to be back on court. And watching you girls, I'm sure they're motivated because you put your routines on Instagram and all sorts. But Rachel, we'll go to you. How have you stayed motivated during lockdown? And obviously, you've been training with the team. How mentally, how has it been going into those training sessions?
I think it's been good because as we get to play in the Super League, we are the lucky ones who actually get to continue netball. So we are, I think anyone who's playing right now and has the opportunity to, we're just grateful to be there. Things are different and there's different protocols in place which everyone will have to adhere to, but I think anyone who's had the opportunity to play and be out there as part of Super League, I think when you're doing your sessions with the team, you're just grateful to be there with the current situation going on. And then aside from that, it's a lot of individual training as well. So because things are shut, so when you're not with the team and you don't have the facilities available, shuttles in the streets, 8 sessions. Some people have to invest in like home gyms and things and get hold of any equipment you can to do any sessions possible. And it's just a combination of stuff on your own and then just being with the team and just making it all work.
Yeah, you've got to be adaptable. Have you ever found it sort of overwhelming going to training, or when you're traveling up to Wakefield, have you ever felt, you know, anxious or nervous about the whole scenario? Because it's quite a big deal, people going back to work.
No, not really. I think the way that England Netball have gone about it, prior to the league starting up, there was a lot of information that got disseminated to the players, Zoom calls, lots of information sessions. Our manager at WASP is great and she just tells us all the information and extra. So going into it, we knew what was being put in place. And in terms of the COVID security and everything, I think the way that it's been done and everything that's been put in place, as you go there, you do feel safe. And
yeah, so that communication is vital, knowing all that information.
Yeah, and the dissemination of how they've put it into place. I think as a player going up there, I do feel safe, and I'm happy to be in that environment. So I think it's worked well so far.
Yeah, great stuff. That's really good to hear. And Beth, what about you, training and being in lockdown and then coming back into the fold with the team? What's it been like?
Yeah, I think I'm pretty similar to Rach, really. I think it's just being really grateful that we are still able to continue to play and just making the most of it. I think it's changed my perspective of things a little bit and just made me realise I'd just be grateful to be here and to be doing it. But yeah, I do feel for everyone that's not been able to train. I know sort of like in the first lockdown where we couldn't train, I found it okay, but I know after a while it got a bit tedious. But the things that I found work I was similar to G, like I had to just get it done straight away. So I kind of set myself my program, and I'm sort of the person that likes to have a bit of schedule and know what I'm doing. And if I've set myself something, I'll have to do it. So I think I just kind of made sure I knew what I was doing each day of the week, and then just get up, do it, and then you kind of, it doesn't hang over you as much then. But yeah, just it's been all right for us. I don't think we can complain, really.
No, it's great, but it's great that you stick to your list of things. You actually write a list out of what you're going to do that day.
Well, it'll be kind of like from what the coaches give us. So like the plan that they give us, I'll just make sure I stick to, and I'll just know sort of that, I'll just get up and do it. And then you're done sort of by 11 o'clock or whatever, and then you've got your day. So just kind of had that structure through lockdown, which helped me. And in the afternoons, I'd sort of just have walk with my mom. I think just having that time was actually really, really amazing. So I think just trying to link in with someone that you can keep sort of like staying in touch with, going on the walks, things like that can also really help.
Yeah, definitely. George, what about you? You know, being out in nature and going for walks, how important have those events been?
Really, really important. I think sometimes when you sit in like your home, it almost becomes like, you know, like the couch potato thing. And it's kind of like pushing yourself to go out. It just makes me feel better. So I'll like go out and like sometimes wake up and like, not today. And then I'll just grab the dogs and I'll go. And like sometimes even if I can't link in with anyone, I literally have like a fully blown conversation with the dogs about like how my day's been and how their day's been and what sticks they want me to throw. And even just like that is like perfect and like lightens up. I mean, everyone probably thinks I'm mental, like having a chat with dogs, cross people in the park. I'm like,
bigger stick. Throw that.
No, it's brilliant.
Really important to just get out and just get some fresh air in. Like and it breaks your day up. Like sometimes you feel like you're not doing anything and you wake up at 8 a.m. you go to bed at 8 p.m. It's like, what have I actually done? But at least if you go out, you're like, right, fresh air. Let me get my body going a bit and burn off some, I don't know, some stuff.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely great. And you know, we've seen all the literature saying that pets are so great for mental health. How much of your dogs helped you?
Oh, to be honest, I absolutely adore them. At the moment, they're just trying to get on my lap, which is fun.
Oh, can we see them?
Yeah, come here.
Yeah. Who have we got?
We've got 3, but this is our baby Bumper. Say hello, Bumpy.
Oh, gorgeous. Hi, Bumpy. Hi. And his breed is?
So she's a French Bulldog.
She.
Beanie's also a Frenchie.
Oh, hi, Beanie.
Lovely.
We've got loads of dog fans. We have. And there's another.
Boo is my baby, and my dad he lost me a netball bet, and he had to buy her for me at 16. So
really?
Yeah, he bet me. He was like, if you shoot 100%, then I'll get you a dog. And I was at Netball Europe, so I was on 17 Netball Europe, and I did. And everyone was like, do it for the puppy, and I got a dog. So
that's fantastic. Oh, they're gorgeous, but they've really helped you.
Oh, definitely. They're just fantastic. Like, you literally talk to them and they're so like, it's weird. They're quite emotional. It's like you have like a chat to them and they'll like almost respond, and just like playing with them, getting up in the morning is sort of like, you wake up, like originally it's annoying when they're scratching at your door, but it's actually really nice to just open the door and they like run in and greet you, and makes you feel good, makes you feel really needed as well. It's like, I understand how my mum feels now, and she's like, it's nice to be needed. It's like your dogs need you, like feed them. But yeah, no.
So I hear it so many times from friends and relatives. You know, it's a symbiotic relationship. There's so much love between dogs and their owners. Definitely thinking about getting one. Rachel, to you, you've got a pretty high powered job. You're a manager of and you tell me, you give me the title, genetic technologist. I've got written down.
Yeah, so a genetic technologist, that means that I work in the technical side, in a lab, in a genetics department, but I'm now, a manager of a section in quite a sizable genetics lab in Birmingham now.
Amazing. And how do you juggle your time then with training and working? And how do you find that?
Well, I've kind of always done it. So being of a slightly older age to the other two on the call, there wasn't a full-time program or anything when I was starting out playing for England. So I've kind of always had to have like either education or then uni or a job on the side to help fund the sport. So I'm kind of used to doing it, and you just have to fit it in around. So rather than getting up at 8 and being finished by 11, you're up at 6, half 6, finished by 8, and then into work by 9. And then at the moment, a lot of the sessions are evening with Super League at the moment. So that allows or some rearranging of hours if you have like a morning session. So it's just always been a case of kind of making it work and having good employers to enable that to happen and getting the right balance. So I've been really lucky with that they've kind of supported it in a way.
Yeah, it sounds like you've got really good time management. Do you feel like you do?
Well, I think I must have in some ways, because I can fit it in and still hit the fitness test results and make it to games, etc. So I think it's just something that I've just kind of developed over the years, and it's just a thing now that I do.
That's great. My time management sometimes is terrible, which then really throws me and has a ripple effect in the rest of my day. If it doesn't start out well, if I don't stick to schedule, I feel like things unravel. But then, you give yourself too much of a hard time, and I'll speak to Sarah very shortly about sometimes we give ourselves too much of a hard time. Beth, going back to you and your routine, I know a lot of people are very interested in health, fitness, and diet as well. What diet obviously has a massive impact on how we feel. What is a typical breakfast for you? What do you do first thing out of bed? What do you drink?
I have a glass of wine.
Wow, it's all happening where you are.
No, I think I have porridge at the minute. I'm really big on porridge.
Okay.
Honey, cinnamon, and lots of berries is my thing at the minute.
Yeah, caffeine at all?
No, not really. No, I've started to like a bit of coffee, but I prefer sort of like an afternoon coffee.
Yeah. And how much does food, make you feel good, make you feel energized with what, different things that you eat?
Oh, I think it's really important. I'm quite a foodie, love food, and I think that's something that I found quite hard with lockdown, is not being able to go out for dinner and going to cafes and things. So we have been trying to cook different things that we've not done. I saw it on the telly the other day, and they were saying just try and make something different that you've never had each week. So we've been doing different things. Made sushi on Sunday, which was really nice.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, so just trying to make different things, and I know everyone's been on the baking hype during lockdowns, which I think has helped people as well. It's always good to have a bit of cake, isn't it?
Oh, I was going to say, when I write my schedule for the day, 2:30 cake. Have you had any cooking disasters? Anything that's not gone according to plan?
Oh, I don't know.
I've had a few. I forget to turn the oven off.
Oh,
I burn things all the time. Oh, it's terrible.
Oh no, I don't know. I can't do.
Oh, that's good. You're obviously. It sounds like you're a good cook. We're going to put you up for MasterChef or something. George, what about you? Are you do you have coffee in the morning, or what do you have first thing?
To be fair, it is really bad. I'm a massive coffeeholic. I've got my little cauldron full of coffee here.
Cauldron.
It's fantastic. It's Harry Potter cauldron.
Oh, it's fantastic. Yeah, it's brilliant.
I love coffee sort of any time of day. Sometimes I'll have one before bed, which is really bad, but it is what it is. I love it. But no, I'm kind of similar to Beth. I'm on this massive, I'm baked oats. It's like porridge, but you bake them and then you cut them into bars. They're fantastic.
Oh, brilliant.
But yeah, so I'm on the baked oats hype at the moment.
Oh, great.
I am also a coffeeholic though. I love it. But apparently,
yeah, well, your body can obviously cope with it. Some people just need one or two in the morning, but you've obviously trained yourself well.
Yeah.
But the oats is great because slow releasing carbohydrates is what we need. It's a really important message to get out to everybody, to feed your body well, so that your mind, get all the essential fats you need as well for your mind to operate in a certain way. I love talking about food. I could talk about food all day. Rachel, moving on to you. Have you had any sort of down moments during the last 12 months? And when you have, how have you dealt with them? Because I'm sure a lot of people watching will have had those moments. And, are there any sort of skills, anything you've learned, techniques to get you out of that mood?
Yeah, I think we kind of all have moments where you kind of realise, or it's more, what are we living through moments? What is happening? Life is so normal, and now it's very different to that. And it's just, I think prior to them announcing the end of lockdown, I think was probably a tough time for everyone, because I think in life we like to plan, we like to look forward to things, and that was kind of taken away. And I think with the food, Beth was saying, we at home we've been having themed nights every week. So we pick a country and make food from the country, and then have everything around the country, and just things like that. Just trying to make events of evenings, and just trying to put something in the schedule to kind of look forward to, even though it's at home. So I think, had a few moments where I'm you get a bit flat, and you're I can't see people. The routine is not there that you're used to. But I think it's, when I've had that, I just give someone a call. If you're missing people, even if it's a video call, I've kind of used those sort of tools. Put something to look forward to in, change what I'm doing. So last year when Netball got the season ended, and we knew that we didn't know when it was going to come back again, but other things were available. So I used to play quite a lot of tennis when I was younger, so I picked that back up again. I was explaining before. I had a different focus, so I thought I'd try and develop a backhand in the game, and just looking at some things are restricted, but it's looking at what you can do and just trying to create a new temporary normal.
Yeah, definitely some great tips there. Really good. I'm going to bring in our other guests. We've got Sarah Ellis and Maimee Morris. I'll go to you first, Sarah. You're an author, you're a businesswoman, a coach, a mum, a netball fan. You've been listening to this conversation, and in terms of, for instance, sticking to a routine, how important do you feel it is for our mental well-being to stick to some kind of routine, but then also to not beat ourselves up too much if it doesn't go according to plan?
Yeah, listening to everybody else, I certainly put myself in quite a separate category when it comes to fitness and health compared to the elite athletes I feel that I'm surrounded by right now. So I'll talk from a slightly different starting point, I suspect. But I think in terms of routine, what I think really helps is small changes. So sometimes I think we can set ourselves these really big goals or aspirations, and we were talking about putting ourselves on pedestals and trying to be perfect. And then I think sometimes we miss the progress that we're making along the way because of those expectations that we have. And that's where, you know, comparison can be a bit of a curse. I think things like Instagram at their best can feel really supportive and really inspiring, but also you can sometimes end up unhelpfully comparing yourselves. So I think, you know, when I think about my fitness routine, I'm probably not going to compare myself to a couple of the other people that we're chatting to today, because I recognize that my starting point is quite different. But if I do half an hour of exercise, or if I go out for a walk every day, you know, that's something to be celebrated and to kind of give yourself that little, you know, pat on the back. And one of the practical things that we always encourage people to do, if you feel like you're maybe a bit stuck, or you're just lacking it, you know, you just like lost your mojo, you just feel, you're just like not feeling that feel good factor, is just at the end of every day, write down one very small success you've had that day, because we all have loads of very small successes that we just don't give ourselves credit for. Whether that is you listen to a friend on the phone for half an hour who just needed someone to listen to them, whether that was someone at work, whether that is you went out for a walk and, I don't know, listen to a new podcast, whatever your very small success is, it's completely valid. Like, don't judge yourself too harshly, don't criticize those, but start to spot and recognize all those small bits of progress you're making, because that gives us really positive momentum. Like, it kind of propels us on for the next day, and it gives us a bit of motivation. And I think any time in the last 12 or 18 months I've sort of struggled or feel like I'm having a tough week, I always go back to that very small success exercise. And actually, it's really important, the evidence shows, to write them down. So it's one thing to think them, but it makes a really big difference. If you can write them in your phone, but you've got to get it out of your head and either into your notes bit on your phone or write it down on a bit of paper, because that just takes it a step further in terms of both recognizing them and recording them. And that really helps our brain to kind of connect in a new way, and helps us to kind of feel just really positive about where we are. So if you need a bit of a boost of optimism, it's just a really simple thing that you can do that has actually quite a big impact.
Yeah, even like 30-minute workout, write it down, and maybe how you felt about it. Yeah, that's great. And your book, Squiggly Career, can you tell us about it? I know at England Netball there's a lot of fans. Oh,
thank you. Well, yeah, so I guess the idea of like career ladders were originally created over 100 years ago, and they were created when we first all started working in offices. So they were a way to sort of control and conform us all, a kind of whole new generation of office workers, a very, very long time ago. And I think when you ask people about their careers today, and we often start our sessions by saying, how would you describe work in one word? Nobody says, oh, it's predictable or linear or really straightforward. It's really simple. Actually, what everyone says is, wow, there's a lot of uncertainty or change or ambiguity. Also, lots of opportunity, potentially, maybe less pressure to follow in other people's footsteps, more opportunity to kind of work out, what does success look like for you? What you find meaningful about the work that you do, using your own strengths, all that kind of good stuff. So Squiggly Careers for us is just a way of describing what we think is pretty much everybody's reality now in terms of their careers, both their experiences, but also their aspirations. Like, none of our two squiggles are the same. No one's careers are identical. And I think we really wanted to come up with a way of describing careers that recognise that we're all individuals. And actually, if we can all be our individual brilliant best, that's how we do our best work. And then the bit that we're really interested in is the how. So if that is what a squiggly career is, how do you navigate your squiggly career in a way that works for you? What are the skills? What are the tools? What are the ideas, like those very small successes, those things that you can do day in, day out to kind of take as much control of your career as you can, and then also probably accept and embrace those bits that you'll never be able to control, because that uncertainty isn't about to change. So I think it's just really about then, how do you draw your own squiggle in a way that works for you?
Oh, that's brilliant. Really fantastic. Maybe can you tell us a little bit more about your role with England Netball and how you support the Roses?
Yeah, of course. So I'm a performance lifestyle advisor. So my role really in a nutshell is to support athlete well-being and also to encourage and facilitate that personal professional development. So looking at the person, not just the athlete, is very easy when you get to the level that these guys are to just identify as a netballer or an athlete in the other sports I work with. But part of my role is looking at them as people first and foremost. That's the most important thing. So I work with the Roses just since December. I came in, which is a funny time to join because you don't actually get to meet anyone. So I'm still meeting
by Zoom.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, it's different though, isn't it? It's we've all got to become adaptable, haven't we, in this new age?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm lucky. My role is quite easy to do over a phone or over Zoom. So I mean, it's looked different in terms of what athletes have been focusing on and how they've been working through this time. But the way I've been communicating has been pretty easy to carry on with. So I've been lucky in that respect.
Have you seen a shift in mindset at all?
Yeah, I think so. So I wasn't with the Roses when lockdown 1 started, and I think all the lockdowns have looked very different. You know, the first one we were blessed with the sun and certain things still being open, which really, really helped. Lockdown 2, there was a lot of ambiguity, and it's like, okay, we'll just look forward to Christmas. And then we got through Christmas and we're like, we're still in lockdown. And I think that January piece was really, really hard for people. But I mean, since I've joined the Roses, I've just been super impressed with the unity that they show, you know, how much they're there for each other, the togetherness. I think that was really shown in the January series with players, support staff, coaches, and the wider netball family, just being there for each other. So it's been impressive.
Yeah, you mentioned that you're a big believer in broadening identity. Can you just expand on that a little bit more?
Yes, I think historically one of the worrying times in an athlete's career has been that retirement piece. So you stop doing the thing that you've always known, you've known for the last 20 years, and you stop doing that, and then there's nothing else. So it's really, really important throughout that career, throughout that sporting career, you can be at the very top of your game, but you're still more than an athlete. You might be a sister, a friend, a genetic scientist, a student, a tennis player, whatever. Like, there's so important to recognise there's so much more to you, so that when netball stops or when there's an injury that comes in place that takes you away from your sport or whatever that one thing is, there's other things to keep you going and to keep you lifted. And I think that's the same for everyone. You know, if we just identify as one thing, when that one thing isn't going very well, or when a global pandemic takes it away for a period of time, you're a little bit stuck.
Yeah, I mean, Beth, you've been through it. You've had 3 ACL injuries. You know, when you've been in that scenario and in rehab, did it feel like you were a little bit stuck? Did you sort of doubt your identity at all? How did you keep going and keep motivated?
Yeah, I think that was actually quite a big issue for me, really. I think at the point where sort of like recently when I've done the 2 in a row, it's just kind of made me really reconsider everything. And I've always just wanted to just do netball and put everything into netball because I love it. And I think it's an amazing opportunity to do that with your life. But yeah, I think having these injuries has sort of made me think, okay, I need to be prepared for what's next. And I think that loss of identity did hit me, to be honest. So I think, just doing some work around what else is important to me, and just kind of like, I think COVID has actually helped with it because it's made me open my eyes that there's a lot more going on in life, and it's just made me realise netball isn't the be all and end all. So I think just having that perspective on it and just being grateful for the opportunities that you get, and knowing that it's not going to last forever, but just enjoy it while you can. And once you move on, there'll be other good things that are going on in life, and you know, all the weddings and the parties and things like that you miss now, you'll end up being able to do. So I think there's always good things that will come from it.
Because I suppose you could get into a scenario where it's like you're defined by what you do on the netball court, whereas, you know, there is so much more to an individual off the court as well. And we've got to celebrate and embrace. Maimee, would you say, you know, you really got to highlight all your attributes, not just focus on netball court activity? Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I think we've really seen a shift in that. And part of our role with the EIS, we launched a campaign called More to Me to actually celebrate what else is going on for athletes. You know, we never want to introduce someone as a as a gold medal Commonwealth winner. We want to introduce them as their name and the person that they are, including that gold medal, but everything else that comes with it. You know, there's so much to celebrate for these people, in general. So it's a really important part of, I think, my work. Yeah,
mental well-being and happiness, and that link with performance. I mean, that basically that is a strain of what you do. You know, when athletes are in that positive mindset, how much of an influence does it have over their performance?
Yeah, hugely. I think it's about how fulfilled people are feeling, and netball is a huge part of that, especially when it's going really well. But there's also other parts of it, and I look at it as a bit of a dialing up, dialing down process. So you can't constantly, well, it might be in preparation for the Commonwealth Games or something, the netball piece dials up and it is like complete focus on, but then when that goes, we might be able to dial up, maybe it's a degree or a qualification or something else, a hobby even. So it's just about a constant dialing up, dialing down process, I think, about what's important at that moment in time for that person.
Yeah, definitely. Sarah, going back to you quickly, you know, I'm sure you've experienced highs and lows during lockdown. How have you approached things?
Yeah, we've experienced some really big lows. So we decided to launch our business full time as our book came out, where the world was rosy, the book was going really well, and then 2 months later, COVID hit. So I was working for myself, building my own company from scratch for the first time as COVID lockdown 1 happened. But prior to that, I've always worked for really big companies like Sainsbury's and places like brands that you will have all heard of. So it felt scary anyway, and then suddenly it felt terrifying. And I think when I reflect on what's really helped in the last year, I do think the people that you surround yourself with are really important. I sometimes use this kind of description of like, you know, sort of people can be radiators or drains. They can really like give you energy, and you spend time with someone and you just come away just feeling better about yourself. You feel, they just give you that kind of sense of rejuvenation and motivation. And then, you know, other people, or there are other things that maybe you do that kind of don't make you feel good about yourself, whether that's social media or whether that is sometimes people. And I think the thing that's been most useful for me is just the people really you surround yourself with, that you spend time with, even like the people you listen to on podcasts and those kind of things, like filling your brain and your thoughts with optimism, curiosity, like, you know, just enthusiasm. I think just sometimes gives you and actually like laughter and fun. Like I've really needed comedy podcasts in my life over the last year, because sometimes I think in all that was happening, I needed that light relief. And so I've been very conscious, more conscious, I think, than I've ever been in my career before, just about that, about kind of almost like looking after my well-being through kind of those people around me and managing my energy as a result.
Yeah. Rachel, how important is it to you to have a supportive network around you and people that are gonna fill you up?
Oh, massively important. As I said, I think I'm quite lucky because I've been able to work and also train now, so I've kind of filled those voids. But yeah, as I say, when you have moments where you are feeling a bit low, going to the right places and being with people who do make you happy and making you feel good, and very important.
Definitely going back to what we spoke about during the top of the show, about like a routine. I found it vital to have a routine myself, and definitely to squeeze in a bit of exercise every day to get the endorphins going. And if I don't do it, I notice a massive dip in how I'm feeling. And trying to get that out, going outdoors and being in nature. I think we've all realised this past 12 months how important and how uplifting being amongst trees and, you know, walking in green grasses. It's so basic, isn't it? But it's reminded us to go back to basics quite a lot this whole 12 months, which has been key. I know people are watching this and that they are desperate to get back onto the netball court. And I'm just going to throw this one to our athletes now, to all the netball the family watching. They're going to get back on court. They're starting their journey to get back onto court. What is your top tip in keeping focused and keeping motivated? Beth, what's yours? And then I'll go to George.
I think variety would be the one for me. It's quite we're doing the same thing every day and it's quite boring. So if you can mix up what you're doing in your training and just keeping it fresh, I think that really will just help that mental side of it not being so sort of like the same all the time.
Yeah. And we're getting a few comments in. It's great to know, we're all in the same boat. No one's doing anything extra special. It's like we're all living this day in, day out, aren't we? And going through the same thing. And we're all thinking in the morning, okay, how can I plan my day? George, what's your top tip to people watching?
I don't know if I'm wording it right, but kind of like the bigger picture for me, it's sort of like right now I don't want to do it, but it's like, actually, what am I going to gain from it after the instant after or the day after, like in a week after? It's kind of like the bigger picture for me. I'm like, right now I'm going to do it and I'm going to get through it and it's going to be fine. And similar to Beth, I might pick a YouTube hit session that I'm doing with a trainer or dance session, but after it's done, I'm going to feel awesome. So it's kind of like the bigger picture and not how I'm feeling in that instance. I try and hold on to that sort of motivation, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. That's brilliant. That's really great. And Sarah, what advice would you give to people watching?
I think the best thing you can do is start. I've been somebody actually listening to everyone else. I have not been able to consistently keep exercising. I don't think I've always done all the right things in the last 12 months. And I think there's a difference, isn't there, between what we know we should do and then what we actually do. And I think I've almost been, it's easy to make excuses. I've been like, I'm writing my next book. I'm too busy. After that, then I'll start. I'll do it then. I'll keep putting it off. And I think when I have stopped doing that and almost just gone, well, what's a really small, simple thing I can do today? If it is go for a walk. I mean, last night, this is a bit embarrassing, but I did a dance video to Whitney Houston, Queen of the Night. And they teach you a routine to Queen of the Night. Now, if anyone had filmed that, I think I would have been absolutely mortified. But I felt, exactly like George said, I felt so good afterwards. I was like, I'm basically Whitney Houston now after 45 minutes.
Yeah. And the greatest dancer, the greatest singer.
Yeah, exactly. And it did really remind me of you don't need to do the hardest session. It doesn't need to be anything just massive. I think you should start with something you find fun and that you're going to look forward to. Because I find where I go wrong is where I'm like, I'm going to go for a 10K run. It's like, well, I don't enjoy running. I like playing netball with other people at a very, very amateur level. And I actually like doing exercise in teams. I like doing classes. So I'm like, right, I'm not going to do stuff by myself. I'm going to do a live class in my lounge with other people because that's fun. And I look forward to it all day. And then it didn't feel hard. And I'm doing one at the end of today, really short, but it's live. So I think trying to find out what's fun and then what works for you. I wish I'd done that consistently, but it certainly helped.
Oh, Donna's just messaged. She loves to dance around the kitchen to brighten up her day. Thank you, Donna. I love a dance around the kitchen. Mm-hmm. I've started doing Joe Wicks, PE with Joe Wicks with the children. Not necessarily live because it's difficult for us all to get in the room at the same time occasionally. But I now do Joe Wicks on my own, and it's a 20-minute hit session, and I know we're going to get straight into it. Just do the low impact, but it definitely, I'm kind of used to Joe. I feel like he's my mate now. He's my friend. He obviously thinks really highly of me, but it's brilliant though. It does change your mindset. And I'm going to go to Maimee. Maimee, what have you had any revelations during lockdown? Any sort of big learnings on a personal note that you'd like to share?
I think all the things that the guys have mentioned have been really important, the routine, just denting things. So things can seem really overwhelming and big. So it's just dent it, just start it, like Sarah said. I think for me, I read a book at the start of lockdown called Create Magic by Jason Bale. And it's about doing things for other people. But by doing that, it helps you feel really good. So part of my daily routine has been to do something for someone. And the impact that it has on you is quite special, really. So even when it comes to working out, I was like, I got out of the routine of working out. So I was like, how can I get back into this? So my mum and my auntie and some of their friends weren't in a good place with it either. So I was like, right, I used to be a personal trainer. So it's like, right, I'll put on a session 3 times a week to get them working out. So we called it Train with Maimee, but actually it got me working out then as well. So sometimes by just thinking about, okay, what do other people need right now, and how can I link in with that? It can really help you as well. So think that would, apart from
That's
everything
really great.
said, yeah.
Doing something for somebody else, always, it fills you up. Absolutely. We've got quite a few fan questions, so I'm going to throw them to the girls. The best, number one is best tactic you use after you've had a bad game to get back into the right mindset. Rach, what's the best tactic that you've used to get into the right mindset after you've had a really bad game, you know, against Loughborough, and it's been like 70-0 or something?
You've never had one.
or we were up by a certain amount and lost by 1, that sort of thing.
Yeah, you lose by 1 this season. Yeah, how did you get back into a good mindset?
I think, yes, well, it is hard because you want to win. They sort of games, they get you a bit, but put it into perspective, looking at it kind of like constructively as well. It's like, why did it happen? That's what I like to do as well. Why did it happen? What are things that we can fix? Again, as people have mentioned before, there was more to life than netball as well. So then shifting your focus to more positive things in life and other things as well, just to probably have a bad night's sleep sometimes, but then wake up the next day and just think how you can attempt to fix it, and just look at the other things in life as well. I'm quite lucky. I go to work the next day sometimes, and by like 9:30 I've kind of half forgotten about it. So doing something to get your mind off of it, that definitely helps me, and that's why I quite like having work alongside it, because it kind of like shifts the focus and get the brain thinking of something else. That's what I normally use, and then reflect on it, move on.
Yeah, I think that's really key. Get the brain thinking about something else, so you're not stewing on a certain thing. And it's amazing how problems dissipate, don't they, after like half an hour when you've shifted your attention to something else. What about you, Beth? If you've had a bad game, not that you personally had a bad game, but how do you get back into the right mindset?
Yeah, I think pretty similar, really. I think you've got to learn from it. So just kind of like assessing what's gone wrong and why, and how can we fix it. I think there's times when you just got to completely bin. There's some games where it's just like, it was just awful, just bin it, which I find, and obviously depending on what it is. And yeah, just trying to focus on something good, like the next day, go and do something fun. Yeah, just try and take your mind off it. I remember a good example is when we were at Commonwealth Games, and we lost to Swifts by 40 goals. Just a week before Commonwealth Games, which was pretty tragic. And I know we were all just like, oh my God, the panic. And then the next day we just went and did something as a team together, and we went out on a boat and had a day. And I think that just completely lifted everyone. So just trying to pick yourself back up, reunite as a team, have some fun, and then you can go back out and sort of start afresh and keep going from there.
Yeah, definitely. One here for you, George. How do you reset your mind when the shots aren't on target? Have you struggled with a negative mindset?
I think being a shooter, a lot of shooting is mental. It's quite a mental game. You can stand in your garden and do 250 shots every single day, but it'll never simulate how a game actually is. And I think that's where the head part comes on. And I think it's just like, you have to park it. If you miss one, you just have to forget about it. And that's just when I was younger, I used to dwell, and I'd be like, I missed 3 shots and 7.5 minutes into the game, but it's not good. So literally just parking it. And like, I think the best thing to do as a shooter on the actual shot is just not to think at all. Don't think about what the defender's doing, what you're doing. Know that you've put the work in behind the scenes. So it's okay, it's going to go in. I just think don't think at all. And if you miss it, just park it. It's done now. It's in the past, can't change it. It's happened.
Oh, I love that. I'm going to take all that advice on today. Yeah, it's in the past. Don't stew, don't procrastinate about it. Number 3, let's go to Rach. What is the Super League season like? Is it hard to cope with the physical and mental pressures, demands of the Super League?
I think it's probably the same at Super League than it is for people playing in other leagues. It's just kind of like a different level, and no matter where you play at, you probably have the same thoughts and pressures regardless of what league you're in. I think when you step out on court, I find that even though you might have cameras on you, etc., when I'm on the court, all I'm thinking about is the other 14 players and the ball. So yeah, even to the extent that someone had to tell me there was actually crowd noise playing during some of our games that we're playing at the moment. So I was like, is there crowd noise playing? Because I haven't even focused on it. So I think just trying to think about keeping it simple, just think about no matter what environment you are, just the 14 players and the ball on the court, and forget kind of other stuff and just focus on what you've discussed with the team, what you're doing, and rather than thinking about the bigger picture, breaking it down into what you might be doing that quarter, what your focuses are on, and just being absorbing the pressure of the team as well. You're not out there on your own. Luckily with netball, you've got teammates, and that's one of the best part of the game. So just if you are feeling it, talk about it, and then just attack it as a team.
Sarah, you've been nodding through this. Like, is that sort of a top tip for people to take away when there's kind of like a big event? You know, when these girls go and play in a game, it could be overwhelming for some players. Is it best to break a scenario down into sort of, bite-sized, manageable chunks that you can deal with?
Yeah, I mean, certainly I can't talk about playing obviously any elite sport of any description.
But I'm talking in the widest, in business, in the world as a whole, when we go into an event, for instance, to break it down makes it more manageable.
Yeah, I think one of the things that's actually really important is when we have those kind of crescendo moments, those big moments, the big presentation, the big game on the court, those kind of things, is you have also, I think, got to really learn to love the process. Because even for us, and like what I do, we did a TED talk the other week. That's probably my equivalent of a big moment of stepping on court.
Brilliant.
Studios. So we were at Abbey Road Studios. If I have thought too much about that and the other people who've been there, it probably would have been a bit overwhelming. And I think you have got to enjoy the build up, because those moments actually are quite short. And then afterwards, there's often quite a lot of come down from those things, but actually whether you've won or not, or however well it's gone, because that process has sort of stopped. So, and actually if you talk to lots of people in kind of creative industries, they'll often say you've got to find joy in the work in progress, in the training, in the hardcore training, in the preparing, in the things that do go a bit wrong, in the team, and enjoy all of it, not just that hour on a court, not just that 10-minute TED talk, not just that team meeting presentation. So I think making sure that you're not kind of always heading to just the next thing, that you can be in the present as well, I think really matters. Because if we're too future focused, we sort of miss out on things along the way. And then, I think to your point, any time where we can't see the wood from the trees, everything just feels a bit overwhelming, I think just break it down to what matters most right now. What's like the smallest, simplest thing that you can do? What's the next best action is often something we'll talk to people about. If you're feeling a bit stuck or you're just struggling, make it really small and simple. But the best thing that you can do is to do something. And then that will get that kind of that flywheel effect we sometimes describe it as, like that first push down the hill is the hardest. That first run is the hardest. That first dance session is the hardest. But once you've done one, you just get it. It's a virtuous, really positive cycle.
Yeah, that's great. What was the TED talk called, just so people can Google it?
Why Squiggly Careers are better for everyone.
Why Squiggly Careers are better for everyone. Great stuff. Yeah, and I love what you say. And the present is a present. We've got to remember that. I love that saying. Right, one here for you, George. What would be your top tip to grassroots players and coaches who haven't been able to train or play to help their mental health?
That's a really good question. If you haven't been able to train and play and stuff like that, because that's why we play netball, that's why we do it all for all levels, from walking netball to your elite level. We do it because we enjoy it and we love it. But kind of even if you can just link in with your teammates, like I found such almost like a new love for the sport, just like even appreciate being with my teammates and stuff. So even just whack up Zoom, FaceTime, and just even if you're standing shooting and just get your mate to chat to you and stuff like that, just get out the house. And I think now you can go for a walk with one person, go for a walk and get your netball fix, like chat about netball, chat about everything. Like me and my friends had a 3-way FaceTime the other day, and we was just picking apart the Super League, like this was really good, oh, you've seen who's top of the league for this, and just kind of getting your netball fix, if that makes any sense. I hope that did.
Yeah, no, it's great. Absolutely. I think it's so good to, keep FaceTiming, keep Zooming with people and keep talking about topics and sports that you love. Ladies, it's been great to have you, and I hope people have watched this and taken something from it and benefited.